remember being young and thinking to myself, there are 3 things in the whole world that I want to be: an astronaut, a paleontologist, and a Power Ranger. So 6-year-old me took very fast to the stuntman life. Everything from staging pillows to jump on from my couch to choreographing fights with some of the kids at school. In 1995, as some of you may remember, the Power Rangers movie came out, and one of the first scenes in the movie was the gang going skydiving for a charity event. Naturally, as I watched in awe, I thought to myself, if they can do it, surely I can too. So 7-year-old me went to the kitchen, grabbed a tall garbage bag, and went directly to the fence and started doing what I now would call a very crude base jump at best. This love never faded. The day we got a trampoline was the best day of my young life. We would move the trampoline next to the shed and jump up and flip off. As I grew up, the desire to become an astronaut faded, and soon after, the paleontology followed suit. Then when I was 15, a friend of mine learned how to do a backflip. Immediately I asked him how it was done and if he would teach me. Without hesitation he said, yes, of course. I came to learn that this was a relatively underground sport called tricking. I was hooked. There was nothing like it. Throwing yourself into the air, flipping, twisting, kicking, and anything else you could imagine before your feet or whatever came down first hit the ground. Flying through the air, not caring about anything else that was going on in your life for that brief moment. After a while, thoughts began to go back and forth between he and I. Man, wouldn't it be a fucking blast to do a gainer out of an airplane? I then began finding the adrenaline that came out of the tricks and combos to be a necessary evil, or love, in our lives. I needed more. Going fast was the next step. Getting in the car to a nice open highway and seeing how fast I could get the car to go. Still wasn't enough. Soon, the same friend that introduced me to the sport that became a lifestyle told me he was getting a skydiving license. I was so jealous. I knew that this was what I needed, and this was the way to making all the ideas that had come beforehand become a reality. So I went to the drop zone with him, and he said, hey, I'll buy you a tandem jump for your birthday if you want. There was no hesitation. An hour and a half later, I was going through my briefing and strapping up for my jump. As I walked to the plane, my heart was beating so hard you could hear it. The knot in my stomach that for me had been associated with the feeling of impending freedom was back and stronger than ever. The nerves kept building as the plane went higher. After a few minutes of sitting there looking out the window knowing what was about to happen, I hear, we're pretty high up, huh? Unwittingly, I said yes. He chuckles and responds, we aren't even halfway there. At this moment I didn't know what to think, but I knew this was going to be the experience of a lifetime. Before I knew it, I heard the words that would change my life. Are you ready? It's time to jump. We inched forward down the bench toward the door. As we stood in the doorway, time stood still. I looked down and saw the earth in a way I'd never seen it before. From that height, there was no movement anywhere. What followed was the best and most likely the fastest 60 seconds of my life. There was nothing else around me. This was it. This was the freedom that I'd been looking for. Once we landed, I had to ask what it took and how much it would cost to be able to do this regularly. When he told me the price, I felt like I was going to trip over my own jaw. I didn't know how I was going to make this happen, but I knew it needed to happen in the coming months. I'd looked over my budgets and started realizing the cost was too overwhelming. Then I heard about this contest. If there was one thing that I had learned over the years, whether it was from my crude bass jumps, learning to play a new instrument, or my near-decade run with tricking, it's that no real harm will ever come from trying. So this is me trying, knowing that even if it doesn't work, I will continue to do what I can to make this dream become a reality.